Hey YouTube, Xfire2708 here, and this is a video response to a good friend of mine, Barry, aka Reddy03. Barry did a video response to somebody else the other day, and it's I think a video, a set of videos that's been doing the rounds by all accounts, but I don't think I've been tagged yet. So I'll do this as a response to Barry. And if anybody else has tagged me and not mentioned it in a PM or whatever, please let me know, and I'll link it into to your videos as well. So basically, the video's about people's gaming histories. So really, it's you know, what you started out with originally, and how you progress through the years to you know, the consoles that you've got today. So this may run into two parts, so we'll just see how things go. I have had quite a few systems over the years, but I won't go into detail about each and every one of them, but you know, I will mention them. Not year specific, these guys. These are in the order I think that they were released. You know, they're my earliest memories of these machines. But like I say, I can't be specific on years, so you know, I'll just put them in the, you know, the best order possible. So the first machine that I had as a kid, guys, was an Atari 2600 Woody 6-switch. Absolutely loved that machine. You know, that was the one that me and my brother and my dad used to play all the time. So you know, it was always a case in those days, probably early 80s, something like that, that you know, all families just had one telly in the living room, and you know, that was a source of viewing telly and you know, playing any entertainment systems. So we used to play that one. I think that's the same as Barry's first machine, and Barry, correct me if I'm wrong, mate, but I think you're around the same sort of age as me. I'm 36, and watching Barry's two-part videos the other day, our gaming histories are so alike. You know, I could have really done this video and just superimposed my face on top of Barry's video, and you know, we'd have pretty much covered the same sort of thing. So. But yeah, back on topic, guys. Atari 2600, that was my first one. As I say, that always used to be connected up in the living room, and me, my brother and my dad used to have hours and hours playing that, in between my mum watching the soaps, obviously. But used to love that one. I think two games that came with it were Berserk and Combat. So we got it for Christmas one year, and we just used to play it absolutely to death. I think we probably, over the time that we had it, maybe had 30 or so games for it, but as always, as a kid, we used to chuck the boxes away and, you know, chuck the literature away, and it just makes me cringe thinking about it now. But, you know, when I did get back into retro gaming again, initially, probably was about 4 years ago, maybe even 5 years ago, that was the first console that I picked up. So I managed to hunt out an original 6-switch Atari Woody, and you know, that's pretty much the pride and joy of my collection. Back then I paid around £30 for it, something like that, and I know if you strike it lucky on eBay these days for an original 6-switch Woody, you can get around £100, something like that. So you know, it's good value wise in the collection, but more importantly for me, even though it's not the physical Atari Woody that I had, it is the first console that I did have as a kid, and holds the most memories for me. So that was the first one, guys. Next up, probably mid-80s, was the Amstrad 464. So I remember getting that for my birthday off my parents one year, and you know, that's what got me all into programming games in BASIC and things like that. Absolutely loved creating my own games in it, and you know, had a massive collection of brought games from the shops as well, and obviously back then you could copy games onto tape as well. So you know, I had absolutely loads of original games, loads of copied games, and I used to play it for hours. It was the one with the colour monitor, and again, once I got back into retro gaming, that's probably the console that's took me the longest amount of time and the hardest amount of work to try and track down and get into my collection. So I've got the Amstrad 464 with the colour monitor over in the corner, over there. I've probably got about 100 games for it, something like that at the minute, but I have got a spreadsheet of, you know, maybe another 50 or 100 games that I remember having as a kid that I do want to track down at some point. So that was the second system that I had as a kid. After that, one of the biggest console flops in history, I think, I brought on release an Amstrad GX 4000. Biggest gaming mistake of my life, I think that was. Really didn't enjoy the machine. As I say, I brought it on release, so I paid top whack for it. You know, there wasn't such thing really as, like, you know, pre-release deals and things like that that you get these days. I can't remember exactly how much I paid for it, but I do remember that it came, I think, with 2 controllers and Burning Rubber. And I did enjoy Burning Rubber as a game, actually. You know, it was quite good. But, you know, the games that were released after that were just pants. They really were. So, probably, you know, I had a console, you know, from release, brand new, and I ended up with 2 or 3 games on it before I sold it on again. And that's, you know, that's one console that I would not entertain back in my collection, you know, unless somebody gave it to me as a donation, and, you know, it was something that they didn't want. Then, you know, I'd always give it home, but I wouldn't pay real money for one to get one back in the collection, like I did with the Atari and the Amstrad. So that was that one. After then, I probably had a couple of Amigas. I think I had an Amiga 500 upgraded to 1 meg memory, and an Amiga 1200, the one with the built-in hard disk. So, you know, that was always nice to have one of those, because it meant, you know, you didn't have a game on 10 floppy disks and have to keep swapping, you know, to do all the loading in between levels and things like that. So didn't have those for too long, but I do remember I used to really love, you know, Pinball Dreams, Pinball Fantasies, Cannon Fodder, games like that on it. So you know, they were nice little systems, but they weren't ones that I went out and spent, you know, masses of money on games and had a big collection of games on. So that's that one. After that, guys, it was the Mega Drive era, and again with all of these consoles, what I had to do back in the day, you know, because you know, I was only a kid at the time, was have to sell one console to fund another. So all of these consoles that I've mentioned previously would have been sold along with the rack of games that I had for them at the time, unfortunately. Yeah, I invested in a Sega Mega Drive. It would have been the Model 1 Mega Drive that I had. But again, in those days, games were really expensive. You were probably looking to pay £40 for a game, something like that. So again, it was a system that, you know, I really loved it. Obviously, you guys know that it is my favourite system. But now I've got back into retro gaming again. You know, I can afford now to buy a lot of the games. You know, I mean, I'm on close to 230 games in my Mega Drive collection now, and probably, you know, as a kid, I'd have had less than a dozen, something like that. So, you know, that's how times change. But thoroughly enjoyed the Mega Drive, obviously. Otherwise, I wouldn't have gone for a full collection. Games I remember back in the day, Castle of Illusion, really enjoyed that one. And the Streets of Rage series, absolutely fantastic games. Hell of a lot of fun, and hence, you know, I've gone back and focused my main collecting on the Mega Drive.